Hey guys, how's it going? And happy Friday. I hope you all are doing good. Well, it's 10 o'clock here, 9:53 to be specific, p.m., July 3rd, Eastern Time, which means in a couple hours it's going to be the 4th of July. So happy 4th, everybody, because that seems to be what everybody calls it nowadays. And more appropriately, happy Independence Day. Now, I titled this stream, Is It Over? Tell me what you think, whether you're in the live chat tonight, whether you're watching on replay, because I'm going to go over the document that declared these United States of America, the Declaration of Independence. Now, on this channel, I've been reading it every year and making a video on the 4th of July. And I've said this before, but I'm just going to say it again, because if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you've been here a while, you need to hear this again, just so you have something to think about, something for us to talk about. It's the most unpopular video I do every year, meaning I get a massive amount of people who unsubscribe for reading the Declaration of Independence on the 4th of July. Now, this is most of my viewers. You'd think all of them would be somewhat a mix of the gun community, the Second Amendment community. You would think with that comes along people who are pro-America, America first. I've scrapped that a while ago. I'm in the America only camp. But the interesting thing about it is that's if there's even any America left. And if there is any left, how much longer do we have? How much do we have left? And can we get it back again? So I've been told by people in no uncertain terms as recently as like a week ago on here, I was kind of talking about this topic. They said, dude, just nobody cares anymore. This country's cooked. They're all tapped out. They're all ticked off. I'm like, no, I get it. Trust me. I'm not black-pilled, but I get on here and tell you guys how it is and my opinions, and we talk just like regular people do. And there's a lot of stuff wrong with this country. There's so much wrong with this country at this point, it actually barely even resembles this country. I get it. But the Declaration of Independence, when this experiment on self-governance, supposedly of the people, by the people, for the people, it was, at the very least, at that time, a very good idea for a country. And I would make a strong argument that it still is. So if we don't have what this country used to be, if our country could never pull it off the first time, if that's your argument, I still really like the Declaration of Independence. I think the best reading is the Holy Bible. And besides that, this is the second best. This is people expressing their grievances against the tyrannical government. This is talking about the outline and framework of what a government should be, ought to be. And for the first, I'll say at least 75 years-ish, pushing 80 years of this country, we did actually, for the most part, have that. Now, there was stuff right away. That's why Thomas Jefferson wrote his Tree of Liberty letter before the ink was even dry on the Constitution. Look, nothing's perfect. The Bible says life is short and full of problems. And the Bible says that there's nothing new under the sun. So, of course, this country was never perfect, and it's never going to be. The sheep in Jesus' flock, because the Lord is my shepherd, sitting at his right hand. That's what we have to look forward to. While we're here on this earth, we're going to have trials, tribulations, and it's going to be full of problems. Always has been and always will be. And the more things change, actually, the more they stay the same, don't they? If you think about it. And for the founding fathers of this country, July 4th, 1776, they had a lot of problems. They had a lot of grievances. And, you know, it sucks that the Declaration of Independence is falling out of fashion for people that are supposed to be patriots. Many consider themselves conservatives, pro-Constitution, because we sit here, and we're going to read that document in just a little bit. We sit here with much of the same exact grievances that those colonists did then. Some of them, maybe to a lesser extent, but it's kind of scary and it's kind of sad. A lot of the same grievances we have to equal, if not a greater extent, than the founding fathers did. So for those that say this is just an old piece of paper, yeah, it is. And all of these founding documents are pieces of paper if there's not men. Look, good times make strong men. Strong men, good times make weak men, right? Bad times make strong men. You have to buck up, you have to fight. Then it gets good, it makes weak men. I don't want to cut this saying short. And then everything goes in a circle. Stuff's going too good, people get too weak, then it gets bad again, then they rise up again. It's all a circle, right? But what do people want? Do people want to read the Communist Manifesto? Do people want to read these omnibus bills that talk about so much that you can't even read it? You have to pass the bill before you know what's in it. Draconian gun control bills that we've talked about on this channel like crazy, that are bipartisan from both sides of the aisle. No, I'm actually going to read the Declaration of Independence, because I believe at one time America was a good country. And I still believe there's many, many good people who live here. And if it's totally lost and it's totally over, I'd like to get it back. And if we were to need to start a new country, I would like it to be very close to what's prescribed in the founding document of the Declaration of Independence, wouldn't you? So tomorrow I'll do a shorter video. I'll publish it tomorrow on July 4th of me just simply reading it. Today we're going to read the Declaration of Independence and we're going to talk about it. And I think a lot of you are going to look forward to this conversation. And if you're not looking forward to it, tough luck. Because I'm going to read this whether anybody wants me to or not. Because this is my country. And this is your country. And if you don't consider this your country, then you need to get the heck out. Love it or leave it. If you don't want to be here, you can leave. I'm tired of people in this country that don't want to assimilate. I'm tired of people that don't want to celebrate Independence Day in the United States of America. I get it. People come here and they want to keep some of their cultures. Maybe some are okay. But it's this simple. If you won't assimilate and you hate this country, you need to get the heck out. I don't want you here. You don't want to be here. Let's make this simple. And that's my message for anyone who's thinking about maybe leaving a comment later and giving me grief. No. If you like Israel more than this country, then go move there. Don't look back. If you're a bloody Brit and you say you Americans, don't look back in anger. Go over there. I won't go over to your country. Don't come back to mine, and shut your mouth because you don't even live here. See, that's how it is nowadays. People that don't even have any standing in my country like to tell me what my country's supposed to be. Well, that's why I like the Declaration of Independence, because it talks about the prescription. This is the founding of what my country is, because I'm an American. Yeah, my family, different parts of my family, many generations ago, obviously immigrated here at a certain point, but I've always been an American ever since I was born. There's no pre-qualifier in front of it. I'm not a blah, blah, blah dash American. There's no hyphenated. I'm an American, and you're going to have to deal with people like me, or you can get the heck out. And we need to remember that right now, because that's what's going on. And we need to remember the founding fathers that we're dealing with the savages. And we need to look at the savages right now that are getting unleashed on this country. And we've had some terrible Supreme Court rulings lately. Some terrible ones that are just opening the floodgates, where it's going to be really, really hard to save this country. I get it. But if there's enough people after that long train of abuses and usurpations that finally get fed up again, it's still important that we look back at the Declaration of Independence that was written, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America 250 years ago. So we're going to go through this, and I'm going to pause from time to time. We'll talk about a few things, and I'm going to mention briefly a few Supreme Court cases that are not looking so good for this country. And then there's a couple minor victories in the Supreme Court for the Second Amendment, and I say they're minor victories because it's not enough. See, all these lawyers have these YouTube channels, and they're like 100 times more popular than me. And that's fine. Because, like, whatever. But, like, it just shows it's kind of sad. And all they want to talk about is the court, the court, the court. And this one channel that's like super popular around here puts a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court decision. That's the title of his video almost every day. Well, there's a lot of stupid people in this country. I get it. But I don't want to dumb down my live streams and topics for stupid people. I enjoy hanging out with intelligent people. And I want to talk about topics that actually matter instead of just clickbait to sell more ads, get more views, and all of that. But I am funded by you guys, so before I forget, because half the time I forget before it's over, like it's almost over, I do want to thank all of you for the many ways you help support the channel. Thank you to my YouTube channel members, where I see you guys, some of you guys in the chat right now. I see Denny's Plant-Based Journey. What's happening, man? Nice to see you. I see Paul Bennett. So thank you to my channel members. And also, if you were to leave a super chat tonight, I will definitely read it and thank you kindly. That makes you the sponsor of this episode. Also, thank you to my local supporters and Patreon supporters. Make sure you follow me on locals as well. And those who sometimes send me stuff, there's a Cash App down there in the description. And Blackout Coffee. I have a coupon code. And they also sell tea, and it's actually pretty good tea. And I'm drinking some iced tea that I made from that right now. So check that out. Not a paid ad read. I'm not doing any ad reads. I just have a link down in the description that if you use it, you get a discount and I get a little kickback. So there you go. So I'm going to read this super chat real quick because sometimes, again, I forget to read them for a minute. Thank you. Ron Moman with a $5 super chat. I appreciate you, man. He says, keep up the great vids. Well, thank you for the encouragement, and glad to see you tonight, man. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're excited about Independence Day, even if there's a lot of weird stuff going on in this country. So fairly recently, like in the last week, there's been a bunch of Supreme Court decisions. I'm just going to briefly talk about 4 of them. And then we're going to get into the Declaration of Independence. So Amy Coney Barrett. Amy Coney Barrett. She's a real beauty. Have you seen her family photo before? Have you seen her family photo with her whole big extended family? Her Somalis, etc., whatever they are. It's hard for me to even tell who all these different people are. In the end, they kind of all look alike. But you look at them, it shouldn't be any surprise that she's in favor now of upholding the so-called birthright citizenship. Oh, yeah. Anchor baby, come and get it. Birther tourism. Did you know there's a hustle, and it's actually a big booming business. It's expanded to a lot more than just a hustle now. It's called birther tourism. I believe there's about 1.5 million Chinese, actually, that are American citizens. No, I don't mean green card holder. I don't mean they came in and became a citizen the long, arduous way. No, no, no. Amy Coney Barrett and all these other women on the Supreme Court and Roberts. He needs to get his balls out of his old lady's purse. And by the way, all these women on the Supreme Court, repeal the 19th Amendment. Okay? No women judges, no women voting, no women in political office. Period. You want to see these problems solved real quick? Actually, what I just said. Now, that might be shocking for some. No, like literally, actually, what I just said puts an end to a lot of this real fast, if it's not already down the road too far. So they have these businesses, enterprises, and now there's probably 1,000 new ones that have just popped up in the last week where they can come in from wherever, we'll say, the Communist Chinese Party. The Chinese. Who would like to live in a communist country, right? Who would like to live in a communist country? Well, here's the thing. I was talking to someone that was complaining. They're like, oh, the young people like socialism. Dude, we have a mixed economy. We have a mixed view of what this country's supposed to be, for lack of a better word. Our country's 3/4 socialist already, at least. At least. And I'm actually being very conservative when I say that. We're at least 3/4 socialist / communist right now. So for all these people that say we need some socialism in our life, dude, We're more socialist than we're not. All the social programs, the taxation, and yes, taxation is theft. Well, now you've got the so-called conservatives. Conserving what? No, here's the problem. You've got this woman, okay, with her mixed family. And she says, no, we essentially don't need borders, because that's what this comes down to. Borders become a trivial thing. Yes, Trump has closed the borders, but here's the problem. They're bypassing that now. They can fly into the United States, very pregnant, stay in the United States for maybe a month, maybe weeks, in some cases a day or two, depending, because the airplanes won't let you go on if you're like literally ready to pop, just for liability reasons, not because the airlines are trying to protect our country. Because remember, no borders, no country, no unity, nothing that we can all somewhat agree on. If we're not all culturally somewhat similar, you no longer even have a nation state. So we're losing our country, we're losing our nationhood by the minute right now. So you come in pregnant, you're on vacation here. These companies make arrangements. They're like a travel agency. And people pay a lot of money for this. The baby's born. Now the baby's born on the land. After a day or two, or maybe a week at the most, whenever, the mom and baby are good to go, they get back on the plane and they go back to China. The baby doesn't learn to speak English, doesn't assimilate, doesn't even have a chance to. No. The baby then lives in the communist CCP, the Communist Chinese Party, for, we'll say, 35 years. I'm going to pick a random date. Not too random, though. So, born on the land, think about this. They're just as American as you and me now. 100%. Amy Coney Barrett says this is okay. Robert says this is okay. And those other 3 scorned women on the Supreme Court. One of them, I think, it's hard to remember how they pronounce their name, but I think she pronounces it Jumanji. These are these people on our Supreme Court right now. And trust me, when I say people, I'm actually being very nice. See, some people are like, 2AEDU, why are you so mean? I call them people. See, I'm nice. I'm very nice, actually. Because they probably don't deserve to call that, but I digress. So, think about this. They come in from the CCP, birther tourism it's called. They're born on the land. They go right back. They live there for 35 years, brought up in communism and all of its supposed glory. Then they could come back here to the United States at 35 and run for president. Well, how could they do that to AEDU? It says that person was born on the land. Now, it's actually worse than that, because they don't even have to come to like California or New York or wherever. Usually from the Orient, they come in via the western side of the country, California. But they're coming in from all these countries doing this. They can actually go to Guam or Puerto Rico. By the way, they need to get the heck out too. In my opinion, they should not be part of our country. Get out. Don't want them. To me, they're just a monkey on our back at this point. Okay? They're just on there burdening us down. So they can actually fly from China to Guam, hatch the baby, scoop the baby up from Guam, take them back to the CCP. 35 years later, that person could run, and if elected, become your next president of the United States. They don't appreciate our culture. They don't like people that look like me, certainly. And they probably don't like how a lot of you look either, by the way. 2AEDU, you're racist. Go to the Asian countries and see who's racist. See, that's the problem. If you're a white person, you're not allowed to have culture. You're not allowed to be proud of anything. Well, darn it, we do have culture. And this country was founded by white men. And we need to remember that. That's who founded this country. But these people don't respect that. Every place has an indigenous land unless you're a white person. Then you don't have any indigenous place. There's no place that you belong. Look what's going on in Ireland right now. Look what's going on in Great Britain right now. Look what's going on in France, Germany, all of these. Sweden. they're getting taken over, and there's a few brave souls that are like, no, I'm the indigenous person here in Ireland. And they're like, no, you're not. This person from Haiti is indigenous. Excuse me? Well, why are they even here? Well, they had an earthquake 15 years ago. Well, they need to get the heck out. But nope, according to Amy Coney Barrett, further tourism. And then there's Anchor Baby. Well, you can't just leave. Some of the babies want to stay. We don't like to live in this third world country, so we'd like to stay and turn you into a third world country. That's what they say. And by the way, they do want us to turn us into their countries. I was talking to my wife about this earlier. And I have a common thing that I say to a lot of people in real life and on here. And it's this perplexing thing. I think she reminded me of what I already know. Look, she shouldn't vote, but she's very smart, and I listen to her, and we have good conversations. Look, just because they shouldn't vote, I love women. Women are beautiful. If it wasn't for women, we literally could not carry on the human race. Problem with women is you give them too much liberty, they don't know what to do with it. And we have problems, and we have lots of problems because of that. Do I hate women? Of course not. Like, you think I'd be here without my mother? Of course not. Would I have my beautiful daughter without my wife? No. Things I love the most in life are because of women. They still shouldn't vote. It's destroying our country, and it has been destroying our country. Now, I was talking to my wife earlier, and I was giving her the thing that you guys have heard me say a lot of times before, right? I said, what's the problem here? I don't want these people here in my country. And when they're here, all they do is complain. They hate America. They hate everything about this country. They want to do these weird prayers and weird languages and weird ceremonies and just make you feel like a stranger in a strange land in your own country. And it's like, and then you hear them and they chant death to America. And they seem to hate everything about this country. So I'm like, why are they here? If they hate being here as much as I hate them being here, there's a real easy answer. They can get the heck out. They'll be happy because they hate America so bad. And I'll be happy because I don't want them in my country. She's like, yeah, but that's not the reason why a lot of them are here. And I'm like, well, here's the thing, though. They must want to be here because they're here. She's like, no. A lot of these other civilizations and cultures, some are ethnic-based, some are religious-based, some are actually both, right? They want to come to America to turn America into their country. They want their country to colonize the whole entire world. These people are the colonists. These people are coming here to take this land that we have and try to culturally change it. They're trying to racially change it. You've heard them say it so many times. You hear them chanting this in places like Dearborn and all these different places. They say we need to outbreed them. In some cases, they'll say we need to outbreed the infidel. In other words, they'll say we need to outbreed the white people. They'll literally tell you what a lot of their goal is if you actually stop to listen. So the thing is, it's not, they hate it here, but it's not like, dude, why'd you come here? You wanted to come here. It's not that they per se want to come here just because they want to be here. Now, that's the way it is for a lot of immigrants. Don't get me wrong. But for a lot of them, it's more sinister than that. They want to fundamentally change this country. And they literally want to turn this country into their country. And they want them to dominate all this stuff. So Amy Coney Barrett now opening the door for Anchor Baby, opening the door for birther tourism. These have been big issues. This is at the very worst opening the door for more. At the very least, this is not going to stop this gaping wound that this country already has. So that's a big deal to think about on Independence Day. And most other countries don't have a Second Amendment. Well, none of them have literally a Second Amendment, but barely any of them have anything to protect their natural right to keep and bear arms. And you find time and time again, most, not all, of course, everything I'm saying is not all, But most and many of these people that come here, they want to take away our guns. They want massive gun control because in their country, guns are extremely regulated, if not out and out banned. Now, in these other countries, and I'm just saying these other countries because there's so many, it's like hard to even count anymore, that are just invading. It's usually very dangerous. So these people come over here, in many cases with a high propensity towards crime, making you need to protect yourself all the more. Meanwhile, voting people into office that are going to come for your guns more, that are going to restrict you more and make it less likely that you can protect yourself how you see fit. That's a problem. That's a big problem. Now, people say, look, you can vote your way into communism, but you have to shoot your way out of it. I think that's generally a true saying, because even countries that haven't been able to shoot their way out of it have the United States and our money and our men and our guns come and shoot them out of it. All these other countries that had these tyrannical rulers, everything was going to be over, but now it's like better for them. In the last 100 years or so, I think it's fair to say, World War I-ish and more recent, the United States, in so many instances, has been one of the main militaries going in there, liberating people, taking out these so-called evil dictators. The evil empire, as Reagan used to call the Soviet Union, things like this. Well, once America's gone, who's going to come and save us? Probably nobody. I would say almost definitely nobody. Look, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And there's a lot more people trying to undermine this country right now than are standing up for it. I'm not trying to be doom and gloom about it, but we need to think about these things. So then they say, well, hold on, we still need to vote our way out of it. And then you get into this Republican versus Democrat false paradigm and all these things. But that's going to be a lot harder to vote your way out of it now. Because also the Supreme Court has come through and said, well, now there isn't a voting day. Upholding these mail-in ballots, these advanced ballots, where ballots could come in months and months in advance. As long as the person had the intent to cast the vote by election day, I think is kind of how the ruling was worded. As long as, like, you know, the famous saying, someone owes you money, but you're not getting it. The check's in the mail, right? The ballot's in the mail. So now it's going to just upholding all this bullcrap we've had for a few years now, where it's impossible to find out who even won these elections, especially on the national level, the next day, maybe even a week later. And by the way, there are illegals voting in elections. Now, they'll say it's only in certain local elections, it's only this, it's only that. Look, if they're illegal, they've committed a crime. The crime they committed is being here illegally. They don't need to commit another crime. If they're here illegally, they've already committed a crime. They need to get out. We shouldn't even be talking about illegals voting. If they're illegal to be here, then they just shouldn't be here. So our elections are going to continue to be, in my opinion, just as rife for issues. I'm trying to say that very politely. I'm trying to keep this stream on YouTube. But any questions we've had about elections and things that should concern us with them, well, a lot of that just got upheld by the so-called 6-3 conservative majority of the Supreme Court. As far as the Second Amendment, there's been a couple rulings. If you smoke dope and you own guns, you're happy. There you go. You're happy. Smoke it up. When it's over, your problems will be solved. There you go. Because anytime I say anything about it, I get all kinds of pushback. So there you go. if you do it occasionally, if you do whatever. You can mix dope and guns to a certain extent now in the United States. Also, these so-called vampire laws, Hawaii specifically, also I believe California, other places were starting to do it, where instead of it being presumed that you could carry on private property, unless there was a sign that said you couldn't, they were flipping that around backwards. They were saying, nope, it's presumed the private property owner does not allow you to carry a gun or possess a gun on their property unless they put a sign that says you can. So instead of the no guns allowed sign on certain establishments, or maybe even a person's personal front door of their house, which is how it's kind of always been, they were flipping it around to say that if there's no sign, you still can't carry there. They have to have a sign that says, yes, you can carry. Well, that's completely preposterous. That literally flips everything totally upside down and on its head. And the Supreme Court did agree with that. So they've shot down these so-called vampire laws, where now it's presumed, because it has to get sent back to the lower court, they have to redecide it, quote, correctly, based on the Supreme Court overruling them. And now presumably it's going to go back to, they have to have the sign that says no guns allowed. And it's always like the Beretta 92 with the line through it. Sometimes the 1911, sometimes the Glock 17, but it's usually literally like 9 times out of 10, it's the Beretta 92 with the red circle and line through it. So I guess like when you literally look at it and there's no words, I kind of read that as no Beretta 92 is allowed. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't carry a Beretta 92 for my concealed carry. Now, I do own one. It's part of the collection. It's a great gun. But I'm like, oh, man, because I don't go anywhere unless I'm armed. I'm like, dang it. I wasn't going to be able to go into this restaurant today, but now the sign says no Beretta 92s. And I'm like, I sure do not have a Beretta 92 on me, so I guess I'm good to go. You guys notice that, though? It is usually the Beretta 92. Not even joking. So that's, a moderate win for the Second Amendment in the Supreme Court. But they just need to rule once and for all. Let's get it over with. If they're the Supreme Court of the United States of America, they need to literally make a ruling that says this: a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Period. Next sentence. This is the law of the land, and it has to be enforced by all courts. Period. No gun control whatsoever. Period. That could be their whole ruling right there. Because apparently the Supreme Court. See, here's what's so crazy. You hear all these experts, all these lawyers, even these Second Amendment lawyers, all these conservatives out there. They're like, well, the Supreme Court has the ultimate power in the United States. Oh, does it now? Oh, yeah, because it can overturn laws. No. The ultimate law of the United States and the ultimate authority comes from we the people. And unless we the people get together and amend the Constitution, the supreme law of the land as it stands right now, that's above SCOTUS, it's above all of it. It's above a law. It's above any Supreme Court decision, says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That's what the law says. The Supreme Court can't change the Constitution. The Supreme Court can't say, well, the Second Amendment has a comma but at the end. They can't do that. It's above their pay grade. It's over their head. Congress can't pass a law that says you're limited to a 10-round magazine. They can't. They're strictly prohibited. It says shall not be infringed. Shall doesn't mean optional. Shall means it's mandatory. Or else. Or else what? Well, there is no what anymore. That's the problem. This country's gone weak, and the foxes are the ones guarding the hen house. But when this country was founded, if somebody said F the Constitution, we'll just do the exact opposite, they would have been tarred and feathered or hung from the gallows or firing squad. At one time, to have blatant disregard as a government official could mean death. We actually still have a law in the books right now that was written much more recently than the Founding Fathers. It's called deprivation of rights under color of law, which starts off with a prison sentence on the low end up to and including death. Again, go look it up. We still have a law on our books right now Deprivation of rights under color of law. If any government official deprives people of their rights and somebody is seriously injured or harmed or killed by it, so think about it, when people get mowed down like fish in a barrel in a gun-free zone, the people under color of law have deprived them of their right to keep and bear arms, because the Second Amendment says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That would be a capital offense, punishable by death, because you cause people to die by depriving their rights under color of law. I didn't make this up. There's literally a law in the books that says that. And as soon as I said that, my screen just did this weird flashy thing. Did you see it on your end? What's happening, Ron Wayne Official? How you doing, man? Shout out to the Ron Wayne channel, as always. Him and Misty, good friends of mine. And he says, don't forget to test your accuracy on that like button. And please do, because I'm getting a lot of thumbs downs. And I'm seeing some real weird comments in here tonight, too. I'm seeing lots of good comments, trust me. But I'm seeing weird ones. Like, I don't know, man. Like this guy, bro, WTF. I don't know. Maybe he's reacting to something bad I was talking about more than what I said. There's this guy right here. Well, like I said, dude, love it or leave it. You can get the heck out. See this guy? He can just get the heck out of my stream right now. Like, it's just the way this works. You know what I'm saying? What's up, DB Cooper? Robin Sage came in with a super chat. What's happening, man? Thank you for the $10 super chat. He says, won't approve a single super chat I typed out. Well, that sucks. I wanted to hear what you actually had to say, but I did get the $10 towards the channel, and thank you for helping to keep this channel afloat. Because they take fees out of the super chats and all that. Look, guys, I brought in $2.50 in this last stream. No ads running on it while it's live. No ads running on it on replay. So I do appreciate you guys that do support, whether it's monthly or, you know, during the streams, all of you guys. This is the only way I can barely afford to keep this channel going. Trust me. Dude named Red, what's happening, man? How you doing? Nice to see you. As always, getting comments nuked by YouTube. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Robin says, why do you not disagree? There's a lot of doom and gloom for Independence Day. I'm sorry, man. You know, whatever, dude. I mean, I'm going to read the Declaration of Independence in just a minute. And I wanted to set up what's going on in this country right now. So then, as we're going through it together, we can compare and contrast from the Founding Fathers and what they were going through. I don't want stuff to suck in this country. I want things to get better, actually. Like, I wouldn't be complaining about this stuff if I didn't want things to get better. What's happening, Joe? How you doing, man? And thank you for being a channel member. He says, I was here and I tried to communicate, but couldn't. Well, look, my screen glitched. Robin said he saw it. Maybe some of you guys saw it too. Yeah, man, they don't, I guess they don't like what I'm talking about tonight. You know what I'm saying? Midwest Logger, what's happening, dude? Nice to see you. He was about as psycho as the founders, right? Dude, I know. I'm like super tame compared to the Founding Fathers, actually. I'm like a total wuss compared to the Founding Fathers. I'm still like more edgy than 99% of half the people in this space on here. Maybe I'm more edgy than 99% of all of them. I don't know, but at least half of them. That's the problem, man. I'm too edgy for a lot of like the so-called patriot, you know, gun-toting community. But I'm like way too weak to even hang out with the Founding Fathers. It's weird, man. If I tried to hang out with those guys, they're like, dude, you're way too mild-mannered. You're a wuss. Like, go lay down. But here in the year 2026, this guy's a little too edgy. This guy's extreme. It's like, what? I'm not extreme at all. You know what's crazy, Midwest Logger? And a lot of you guys are kind of thinking about this and nodding your heads right now. Whenever people come in here and they're like, oh, gosh, this guy's way out there. That's when I'm literally like quoting Founding Fathers and quoting the founding documents. And that might be why we are losing this country. Because, of course, all these extreme leftists want to destroy it. Of course, all these people that shouldn't even be in our dang country want to come in and destroy it. But then, like, I don't want to say it's quite half, or I don't know how many, but all too many, we'll just say, supposedly conservatives and patriots are like, whoa, this is too much. You can't say this stuff to Edu. It's too much for me. And it's like, probably not a big surprise why we find ourselves in the shape we're in, right? And I wish it gave your old usernames, guys. Like, I know this is Joe Pichetti. What's happening, Joe? Nice to see you, man. He just came in, not only a channel member, but a $2.99 super sticker. So thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate the support, dude. Thank you. And we have Ace Diamond, channel member for 13 months. Thank you for the support. He says, happy 4th to AEDU and all. Yes, happy 4th to everybody. It will be the 4th of July soon here in about an hour and a half. DB Cooper, member for 20 months. Thanks for all the continued support, DB. I appreciate you, man. He says, have a great Independence Day, everybody. Well, thank you. Thank you. And I want everybody to have an awesome Independence Day. Trust me. I'm going to go hang out with my beautiful wife and daughter, my mom and my dad. Maybe my brother will show up. I'll find out tomorrow. I'm going to have a good time tomorrow, guys. Garage Guy 879. What's happening, dude? Nice to see you, man. Long-time viewer of the channel. He says, 2AEDU, telling it like it is. I could be wrong, but everything I'm telling you guys is stuff I believe. And I wouldn't steer you wrong. What's up, California Prepper? Great shakings are coming. This nation and the nations. Jesus is preparing his church. Oh, he is risen and he's coming back. Like I said, life here on earth is short and full of problems. But to sit at the right hand of God as a sheep in Jesus' flock, look, that's why we're here. You know, that's why I want to try to fight to make this world a better place, because it's a battle of good versus evil. If I thought there was no difference and everything ends up the same, why would I even talk about anything, right? Why would you even want to live if you had nothing to look forward to? So we need to correct a lot of problems in this country. And in my case, and some of you are going to agree with me on this, some of you aren't, but I'm going to speak for myself. I look forward to going to heaven someday. That's what I look forward to. I'm trying to make the best of this life on earth while I'm here. That would be more edgy than would be 49.5%. Yeah. Yeah, there you go, because I said 99 of the 50%. So there you go. Thank you. That was the correct math. Random guy from Oz. What's happening, dude? Nice to see you. I'm going to read this in 1 second, but there's some like cool people in here in the chat. There's always cool people in this chat. And shout out to the replay crew. I look forward to getting your comments afterwards. Random guy says, most people who call themselves, quote, patriots are the same people who are tripping over themselves to register their SBR because daddy government changed the tax to $0. Nailed it. Didn't I just say a few minutes ago there's a lot of smart people in this chat? I think I said that, didn't I? Man, I wish our friend Gort was still in this chat tonight. That sucks. I have no reason to believe they would, but happy Independence Day to his family if they happen to also be viewers. I have had deceased viewers, and sometimes their wife or family still do watch. So if you're watching, happy Independence Day to y'all. Hopefully you can make the best of it. Ego Riser, extremism and defense of liberty is no vice. I'm not going to read the Constitution tonight. I'm going to read the Declaration of Independence. Archie Gold, some people hate to hear the truth. I know. What's up, dude named Red? He says, our country is terminally ill and needs committed healers, not nihilism. God may have worse in store for us, but we should still stand tall. I know. And that's why, Red, I was setting the stage for like what's going on right now. And then I just said, for me personally, and some of you are going to share this belief with me, some aren't. The Holy Bible, I believe that's the inspired word. Behind that, I believe this is the most uplifting document that I could read to you. So, yeah, I'm not going to say, guys, this country's great. Everything's perfect. Happy 4th. These founding fathers had a hard time, but everything's just fine right now. Everything's not just fine right now. And I believe, and I know you're not accusing me of it, Red, but I believe that that's not me being a nihilist, right? You can't just say happy, happy, joy, joy when everything's not okay. However, I still see enough good in this country. I still see God working hard through a lot of people in this country. And I still see things optimistic enough where I do want to celebrate Independence Day. And I still want to read the Declaration of Independence. And I still want to have a country. Hopefully I get to live in it for a little bit. That'd be great. If not, I want it for my child. We should all want this for our children, our children's children, and our children's children's children, etc. So when you're still talking about things and having hope and calling out all the bad stuff, but yet reminding people that it doesn't have to be this way, I hope my words are taken as encouragement. And that's why I am on here, is to encourage you all. And I do want to thank all of you that encourage me on a regular basis, because many of you really do. Ron Wayne Official, member for 44 months. Wow, dude. Thank you for all the support, man. That's a long time. He says, came for the Craig. He's done videos on his channel, the Craig Jorgensen rifle, by the way. He says, stayed because Lamy threatened me. Well, there's Lamy right back behind me in the half track that was given to me by my good friend Pillbox Bunker. Last time I leaned back to touch Lamy, YouTube ended the stream. So I'm not going to risk it right now, because I was too close to reaching for something else, they thought. The AI. Oh, trust me, if I wanted to be doom and gloom, I could say, guys, let's talk about all the data centers they're building. Let's talk about the flock cameras. I was at a data center yesterday in Saline, Michigan, and it's like a whole city. Oh, trust me, guys, if I thought the end is nigh and wanted to be like real doom and gloom, I could sit and talk about these data centers. But I'm not gonna. I'm gonna read the Declaration of Independence. However, the AI won't even let me like reach back to touch my, well, shop security, quite frankly. My little llama back there named Lamy used to belong to my friend Ray. I didn't exactly steal him from her, but let's just say possession's 9/10 of the law. I'm afraid to even reach back there right now, because the man, which used to mean Uncle Sam, now it means the AI that runs this website, might not like my hand to get too close to something else. So if I was a doomer, I'd talk about all that tonight. DB Cooper, channel member and a super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate the $5. He says, here's not even 1 gallon of diesel for you, bro. Ain't that the truth? And that's not even 1 gallon, but I do appreciate it, because I'm sure you work hard for your money, and it's hard for a lot of people to put fuel in their tank right now. Marco Polo, longtime channel member and a super chat. Thank you, Marco. He says, stay hopeful. Wanted to make sure you're okay. No, I'm good, dude. And you probably left that before I just said what I said. But yeah, like, all of this is me being hopeful. Bill Campers, thanks for being a channel member, man. He says, I weep at the state of our country. All right, so it's not just me. Sometimes I get a whole string of comments where they're like, why is this guy complaining? Like, why is this? And it's like, well, yeah, I guess, you know, people just look at things differently, don't they? Garage Guy, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson would have thrown up if they knew people like Obama and Pelosi had come into power. He wrote a book saying he was from Kenya, right? Didn't he say he was born in Kenya in his book? I mean, you can't even make this stuff up. Amy Coney Barrett's fine with it, though. You know what I mean? Amy Coney Barrett's like, well, hold on. If he was in Hawaii, and trust me, I've questioned the authenticity of that Obama birth certificate too. But if she stepped on the land with him in her belly for 1 minute in Guam or Puerto Rico, well, what? I mean, they could see. Here's the thing, guys. You don't have to have a hypothetical. I'm like, somebody could be born here or in another country theoretically. They get tied in somehow with this birthright citizenship. Then the anchor baby, their grandparents, their great parents, their cousins, their cousin's cousin's cousin, their cousin's ex stepsister's cousin. Before you know it, there's a whole flock of them over here. They get tribal. That's what these people do. And then before you know it, it's like, what? You walk outside, where am I? I just want my country back. But it's not that far fetched that they could go, who knows where they come from and become president. We do have a former president named Barack Hussein Obama. Think about this for a minute. That's why it's crazy, man. Somebody will stroll in the chat or comments and be like, this dude's nuts. He's paranoid. This could never. We had a president named Barack Hussein Obama. Where was he born? I don't know. Read his book. Do you believe what his book says, or do you believe what that document says? I mean, you can decide for yourself where he was born. But the fact that we even have to wonder shows you that maybe some of the concerns and fears are not unfounded. Right, N8IWS? How's it going, man? Nice to see you. Thanks for being a channel member. And Denny's plant-based journey member for 64 months. Wow, dude, that's a long time. Thank you, man. I hope you're doing good. God bless you, Denny. He says, peace, peace, when there is no peace. Jesus. The Bible talks about how there's a time for peace and a time for war. I guess if you want peace, you have to be prepared for war, but you should be fighting wars when they're necessary to have peace. I can't stand perpetual war. Random guy from Oz. This is how stupid this all is. Someone can pay a woman who lives in American territory to be a surrogate, and that child is considered an American citizen. Yes. Yes. They could freeze their eggs, ship them over here from what I understand, plant them in some chick that's on welfare's belly or whatever. See, we are almost a socialist country. People just don't want to realize it. And then boom, the baby's on the land. Are all the eggs sitting in the freezer on the land? Are they now American citizens? I don't know. It's going to be funny when the liberals and leftists go so far with this. They're going to go full circle and agree with Christian conservatives like me and say, life doesn't begin at conception anymore, 2AEDU. It begins before conception. See, they always argued before, it's just a clump of cells. It's just a clump of cells. There's nothing alive in mama's belly. Remember, that's been their argument for years. Now, all of a sudden, when it suits them, they're already starting to change. They're saying, well, hold on a minute. Hold on. Does it technically have to conceive? Wouldn't just the frozen egg? That's actually life. That's an anchor baby now. So it's life when it comes to anchor baby, but when it comes to murdering the unborn, it's just a clump of cells. It's literally crazy. And it kind of reiterates what I'm saying, dude. Like, everything's a circle. To everything, there's a season, right? That's what Ecclesiastes says. To everything, there's a season. It all has a purpose under heaven. So it's just everything. It's just so crazy, man. Like, the more things change, they stay the same. We are now starting to find some of these sick, immoral people starting to come around. And I think we're going to hear it more as time goes on. But they're trying to use these semantics arguments for Amy Coney Barrett and all this anchor baby rulings and, birthright citizenship. Now we're hearing these people that said, look, remember the governor in Virginia a number of years back? They called it a post-birth abortion. The baby's born. We'll make them comfortable. We'll swaddle them, feed them, and make them comfortable. And then up to, I think it was 24 hours later, the mom can decide under counseling from professionals, they try to make it sound all great. They can still perform what they call the post-birth abortion. And to people like me, and I know a lot of you, we're like, dude, that's literally murder. Now we're hearing these same people come back. No. No. If there's a clump of cells, and that's their words, not mine, I believe life begins at conception. Now, all of a sudden, they believe life begins even before conception when they want to use it to exploit these rulings. You don't want to mess with birthright citizenship, is what David says. It's what gives you your birthright. Otherwise, you get to buy a citizenship package from your favorite corporation. Look, dude, that might have been a valid argument a long time ago, but who do you think you work for now? We have social security numbers now. Okay, all of our fiat currency is printed by the Federal Reserve, who the Supreme Court has decided the president can't even fire the head of the Federal Reserve. That was another Supreme Court decision in the last week or so. So, what you're saying, dude, you're like 100 and something years behind, to be fair, as far as that goes. If you want to talk about how it's all collusion amongst the corporations and all of our money's fake, and dude, like, you got to go back to the Woodrow Wilson era. You have to go back with the Titanic sinking and some of the key passengers that were on it. Like, this is a whole nother conversation, but just think about that, what you said. Like, it's kind of a red herring to really say that right now with everything that's going on. Fun to learn. What's happening, dude? Nice to see you, man. He says, thank you for being a channel member. He says, I have delivered to the Saline Data Center. It's huge. Dude, it's huge. It's huge. And it's like huger than huge, right? Crazy. And one more super chat. I'm going to get reading this. Denny's Plant-Based Journey, channel member, and a $5 super chat. Thank you, man. He says, people are naive. The cameras and data centers will be used for evil eventually. Sadly, people love to have it so. Eventually, and to a certain extent, right now, right? People just beg to be put in chains. That's why I said, man, the 13th Amendment, it didn't end slavery. It made it where all of us are now potential slaves. As long as we keep purchasing our freedom, as long as we keep paying the tax man when he comes a knocking, we can stay free. If not, 13th Amendment literally says you can be enslaved as punishment for a crime. And many of our prisons, and before too long, the way it's going to be most prisons are owned by companies. Yeah, we have corporations and big for-profit businesses now that own many of our prisons, incarceration facilities, I'll call them, where you can actually literally be enslaved, and that's what the 13th Amendment says. See, before the 13th Amendment, you could not be enslaved as punishment for a crime. So it broadened the scope where everybody's slaves right now. They just don't realize it. And your chains are your cell phone. Your chains are the data center. Your chains are the AI. Your chains are the tax man. Your chains are the gun control. So many other things. In Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous Declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume, among the powers of the earth, the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. Now, this is a very, very strong opening here. It literally uses extremely powerful words. We're talking about the laws of nature and of nature's God, which the founding fathers believed superseded any type of law created by man or by mankind. That's why when I say the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, it's because the founding fathers acknowledged that was a pre-existing right to protect yourself. And they weren't granting you the right when they wrote and then codified into law the Second Amendment. They were prohibiting the government from treading on this natural God-given right. There's also another very powerful word here, and we've bastardized our human language so much and the English language so much, there's not much of it left anymore. But we talk about entitlements. What does it mean to be entitled? Well, now they say 75% of the US's budget is spent on entitlements. And they say, well, you're entitled to have a cell phone. You're entitled to have a certain amount of food. You're entitled, paid for by the government, by the way. But there's so many restrictions and agencies, they won't even let you hardly produce your own food anymore because the big agro-industrial complex, it's all a bunch of hypocrisy. They make it super hard to take care of yourself. And they say, but don't worry, you're entitled to the government to take care of you. You're entitled to be on welfare. You're entitled to be on 5th generation welfare. And that's why people like me and a lot of you have to work like a dog so someone else can laugh their you-know-what at, because they're entitled to their welfare check. They're entitled to a food stamp. Just think about this. You know the kind. When you see them, you know the kind. You can see them from a mile away. The closest I've seen to any form of revolution or people getting ready to overthrow the government was within the past year when they said they come in for my food stamp. Because these are how entitlements are looking now. You're entitled to a K through 12 education by the government. What? A United States Federal Department of Education? That's making the founding fathers turn over in their grave. No. When you're talking about something that's entitled, entitlements are part of the laws of nature and of nature's God. Because when God grants you his blessings to be born, the same God's going to take you away, take you home. God is the only authority, the supreme authority that can hand out entitlements. And they're acknowledging this here. They're acknowledging that for you to be truly entitled to something, that it has to come from God. Because a person can just give you permission. They can grant you privileges and choose not to exercise their authority over you. But that is so often misconstrued with an entitlement. And they're two totally different things. And there may be some of the things the government labels entitlements that some people, really enjoy. Some people may, quote, need it more than others. But once you're born, all you need to do, all that's going to be required of you, no matter what, is that one day you will die. You will live and you will die. And then I believe, some people have no belief in anything spiritual, but if you do, you believe that where you end up for your eternity, that's going to be your reward, or conversely, could end up being your punishment, right? So I wanted to stop and pause there because that first section here, first long sentence, that's very, very important. We're already talking about what entitlement truly is. So with that said, because of that, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now that says a lot right there. Created equal. Equal opportunity, equal creation is totally different than an equal outcome. Equality and equity are not the same thing. They're not even synonyms. Equity and equality are actually antonyms of each other. And that's another problem with the way this country and our society is butchering our language. People just blur over and they're like, oh, equity, equality, equity, same thing. No. They're antithetical to each other. This is not the same thing. And not only is it not the same thing, but they're literally opposites of each other. To imagine that everybody's going to always have an equal outcome is a farce. It can never happen. And for the government to try to make it so, that is one of the core tenets of socialism, communism, Marxism. Nowhere do the founding fathers say in this sentence, okay, Thomas Jefferson wrote, okay, and then the signers signed on, risking their life when they did, by the way. They didn't say everybody's life's going to be exactly the same and everything's going to be perfect for everybody. They didn't set us up as a communist country. Right, Red? Absolutely not. And I agree with what you said. Commie scum. No. All men are created equal. And there's certain unalienable rights are not privileges from a government. They are endowed by their creator. So we've literally talked about what we're entitled to, and now we're talking about things that are endowed. These are very, very important, strong words. Words that you don't hear used properly anymore. Barely ever, anyways. The founding fathers, when they used these words and wrote the Declaration of Independence, they had an excellent command of the English language. And their intent, therefore, why they picked these words, they were using these words properly. Now, if you're endowed by your creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that would be literally a beautiful thing. And what more could you possibly ask for, actually? Among these, not limited to, but among these, are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's the America I want to live in. I want to try to fix what we have. If we can't, I would like to see a country that is founded on that. Again. Now, how is that going to happen? Because they could have just said, because we wrote it down, because it's on this piece of parchment paper. But that wasn't going to do anything. Like, how is that going to, like, you write something down and then what? Do nothing? Just leave it lay around somewhere? So this is what we have. We have certain entitlements. We're endowed by our creator with certain unalienable rights. But where's government going to come into play? And how are these rights going to be protected? Well, you don't have to wait much further. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men. There you go, right there. That's the whole reason the government's supposed to exist. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Very powerful, very to the point. What's the country supposed to do? My government's supposed to provide me for this. My government's supposed to provide me for that. I'm entitled to this. I'm entitled to that. No. You're endowed by your creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Governments have no rights. Only people do. Governments have powers, and those powers come from the consent of the governed. I hear people say it every day, and we need to kind of start correcting people, because this misspeak is not innocent. This is not innocent at all when they misspeak in certain ways. You hear all these conservatives on like big YouTube channels, TV, whatever, and they say, this is a states' rights issues. No, it's not. States don't have rights. Your township government doesn't have rights. Neither does your county. Neither does the United States government. They have no rights at all. Only people have rights. Only people have certain unalienable rights. The government has power from the consent of the governed. They're two separate things. They're not the same thing. And we need to remember that. We need to stand bold and remind people of this every day. People will say, well, the government does have the right to fine you of that. No, they don't have the right to fine you. They have the consent of the governed. Everybody hates a speeding ticket, okay? Everybody hates whatever local ordinance. But guess what? They're consenting because they're allowing the government to still do it. So when people complain and say, well, hold on, 2A EDU, the government does have the right to tax you. No, they don't. Governments don't have rights. They do have the consent of the governed, though. People consent to having depending on how much you make or don't make, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% of your paycheck stolen from you and reappropriated to all kinds of people. In many cases, people that are here that hate your country. They don't have the right to do that. They have power to do it because they have the consent of the governed. And some people are going to cheer it on, but most people are just going to sit there and do nothing. And evil always prevails when people do nothing. So this tells you all about the way it should be, and it actually tells you all about why we find ourselves in the place we're in right now. And there's prescriptions in here, and there's wisdom in here on how to fix it. I want us to fix this. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Well, what if they don't listen to us? What if we don't consent? Well, I'm glad you asked, because this gets to the next part. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. So there you go. When the government gets out of line, we the people not only can, but are supposed to actually overthrow it. That's what the founding fathers said. It is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it. So they're talking about rights again. The right of the people. The government doesn't have the right to exist. The government has the power to exist. Two totally different words. And the founding fathers knew the difference well, because they talk about rights here, then they talk about powers over there. And if you notice, there's a bit of tension here. There's a lot of tension in this document, actually. They're talking about rights versus powers. Rights are supposed to be up here. Powers are supposed to be below it. The power answers to the people who hold rights. And the people who hold these rights answer to God. I think that's a pretty accurate way to summarize what we've read so far. Prudence indeed will dictate the government's long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And it's true. We shouldn't be changing our government as the wind blows. Remember, most countries that go into revolution end up with a more tyrannical government afterwards. The United States is the exception to this with this July 4th, 1776 declaration. Revolution. We are by far the exception, not the rule. And the founding fathers knew that. So to be a prude, prudence, indeed, will dictate the government's long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience hath shown. Now, again, using very specific words here. They didn't say sometimes this is going to be the case. Once in a while. They didn't say 50% of the time. They didn't even say 99% of the time. Listen very carefully. It says, and accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. I think that sums it up right now where a lot of us find ourselves. Look, the evils are still a little bit sufferable. There's enough bread and enough circuses to go around. There's enough government cheese. Enough of them get a food stamp. Think about this for a minute. It's still sufferable. So a lot of people are like, you know what? Things aren't right, but I can kind of get by. I'm still coping. They're still taking a steady dose of copium. So yeah. While evils are sufferable, then to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. Well, I guess why start a revolution? Well, but when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. That means it has to get real bad before people will stand up. But if you do get reduced to absolute despotism, listen very carefully. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Now, we talked about rights earlier, endowed by your creator. Now we're talking about a duty. You have household duties within your home, right? When you go to work, you're going to have work duties. Some people feel it's their duty to serve in the United States military. Some people feel it's their duty to be a mother, a father. A right and a duty are two different things. They aren't saying it's a right / duty. They're saying it's your right, meaning back to that again, you're endowed by your creator with certain unalienable rights. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So that's your right. Now, duty is something you have to do. Whether you were put in that situation on purpose or because you were compelled to do so, because you wanted to, depending on how you want to look at it. But not like wanted to in a trivial way, meaning like, all right, I've signed up for the army now, so it's my duty to follow that oath. Like, you wanted to become an American, that's where it started. Now that you are an American, now you have duties to be an American. That's what they're talking about here. That's what they're talking about for governments. Once you become a part of this country, it's not only your right, but it is your duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Now, they believe that's what government's for. And now they're going to say a lot of problems that they have, why they would be declaring such independence. Because again, it just said earlier, government shouldn't be changed for light and transient causes. So it says, such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused to assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. That sounds pretty familiar. Just think about these as I read them. How many sound kind of familiar, if not very familiar right now? He has forbidden the governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. In other words, unilateral control. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. That's really germane. Now, most people don't even know what the laws are. When people went into the Capitol building to protest an election, there were a few violent people, but the vast majority were actually completely peaceful. They call it the J6 insurrection. What would these people call the July 4th insurrection? See, that's the problem, man. Everything that started this country is so taboo now. This country hates this country in so many ways. I don't want it to have to be this way. Remember what I said earlier? We get omnibus bills. You can't read the bill. You have to pass the bill to know what's in it. Well, the colonists were frustrated too. And you just get tired. You get fatigued. So you just give up and you're like, whatever, I'll just comply. I'm too sick of this crap. What am I going to do? I can't do anything about it. Jim, what do we do to return our country to a good path? Nothing right now. I'm going to take the wisdom of Thomas Jefferson et al., the founding fathers, the signers. I don't think we've reached absolute despotism yet. Okay, I'm here to try to have a good time tonight, bring up some stark issues we have, and let you guys know there's look, my hope's in the Lord while I'm here. Hopefully, this provides you guys some hope that maybe we can have a good country again. Are we going to fix this right now? Absolutely not. It just hasn't got bad enough yet, man. That may have sounded like a weak answer, but it was an honest answer. What's up, JJ Rainey? Nice to see you, dude. Oh, man, look at that. Look at his thumbnail with the 2A EDU sticker on the AK. Man, that was a fun day, and hopefully we can get together again, guys. Oh, I know. The problem is I'm against people declaring war on the skies of these fireworks. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not, but there's fireworks going off like crazy right where I'm near right now. I'd like to hear good ideas, Jim. Very good question. Pray about it. Talk to good people about it. I think it's always good to pray about a lot of things. What's up, Damien? Nice to see you, man. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing, with manly firmness, his invasions on the rights of the people. You literally had Lincoln dissolving legislatures in the so-called Civil War, which is probably really the next second revolution. And many people say we actually haven't had a country since then, and I'm not going to say they're wrong. People that say, well, America's really been over since the 1860s, or you could say the late 1870s, the Reconstruction period. I'm not going to say those people are wrong that say that. He has refused for a long time, after such dissolutions, to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions from within. I think we have a lot of dangers right now that oppose us. I think we do have a lot of convulsions from within. We have all kinds of people after us from within, out. Yeah, it depends on how you look at it, Denny. If you live in the South, it's more commonly what's called the War of Northern Aggression. In the North, you've heard it a lot more called the War of Southern Rebellion. There's not one answer for what it's even called. I agree. I sympathize with the South on a lot of what Lincoln did. Lincoln, one of the most tyrannical presidents of all time. Ronald Reagan, one of the worst presidents of all time. Of course, Woodrow Wilson and Barack Hussein Obama and the former Vice President Biden, yes, also terrible, okay? But that's why it's hard for me, because I just take Roosevelt, terrible president. Actually, pretty much all of them, like in the last 150 years, terrible. Now I just got all the Republicans mad at me. I just got all the Democrats mad at me. I know. I know. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws of naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. So at that time, they were trying to bring people in to start a country. Big difference to what we're dealing with now, but not too much different. Not too much different. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. Now, right now, I think the judiciary is getting almost too powerful. Well, back then, the monarchy, right? Mono, meaning the one in charge, was too powerful, and they needed the judges to have some more power for some checks and balances. You can't have it where one branch is the almighty most powerful. They're talking about that right here. What's up, Fluffy? How you doing, man? Jim says, I have small ideas that would move the needle, like making gold and silver the only form of legal money. I agree. And look, I have small ideas too, so I'm glad you came back with that so I can clarify. We ain't going to do nothing like this in this country, okay? Like what we celebrate Independence Day for. That's what I meant, and I'm glad I was given the opportunity to clarify. Yes, there's tons of small ideas. Ending birthright citizenship would have been a huge one. Amy Coney Barrett and these others just ruin that. Preserving the Second Amendment, that's a great idea too. That's a great idea too, guys. Remember, the Second Amendment is one of the biggest things. That's not just like a small thing. That may be the biggest and one of the biggest. Yes. But here's the problem, man. They're going to go, like Denny says, to a digital currency. We're going to end up with some kind of social justice score, social credit score. I hope not, okay? But that's what they want to do. Yeah, you're right. The introverted Californian, as long as politicians have access to our tax dollars, corruption will never end. This country was formed with no income tax, guys. There was no income tax on people. Many people argue there still isn't today, and it's only supposed to be for businesses. I don't give legal advice or tax advice, but many people still say that today. We pay them. That's what's crazy. We pay for our own chains, and then we pay them to put the chains on us, and then we feel lucky that we get to work on a chain gang for the man. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? It really is. And it shouldn't be that way, and I don't want it to be that way. And we need to talk about these things. It's good that we talk about these things. Joe Morris, a lot of small ideas add up to big things. Absolutely. Absolutely. Of course. Lots of bad ideas have, over the years, more and more little bits at a time, have got us in the shape we're in. Yes. We need to talk to our young people. We need to talk to our children about how things should be. Yeah, no, that's absolutely right, David. Taxes are only to keep you poor. They print the money anyways. You're right. The money's completely fake. It keeps you poor. It keeps you under their boot. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. I'll think about that right now. We talked about AI and data centers and flock cameras and all this craziness. They're talking about that right here. He has erected a multitude of new offices. Now, this was at that time the current King of England, of Great Britain. Dude, we have like a cajillion times more government offices now than the King of England did then. So this is one like no matter what. Okay. I said some of these are like almost as germane today as they were then. Some are more germane today than they were then. Dude, this one might be like 100 times more accurate for today than it was then. Think about it. I'm going to read it one more time because this is like really powerful and I don't want this anymore. We need to get rid of this crap. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. And that dovetails very well into what was just said earlier, to keep you poor, to eat out their substance, to eat away at you. So what you're trying is to keep your head above water because the man's keeping you down. It's hard to fight off the hither swarms of officers that are now occupying the multitude of new offices. They were complaining about it then, and that's a problem right now. I've talked about this before, and I get a lot of pushback from people. occasionally by some of my military veteran friends, but not as much as you'd think, because a lot of veterans actually get this stuff. And a lot of veterans get this more than I do when it comes to these things. But this is a big deal. I still hear a lot of people being like, but we need to bomb Iran more. We need to send more planes and bombs for Israel. And as Lindsey Graham and all of them call it, Israel. For Israel. Mike Huckabee. We need more bombs and more guns for Israel. Talked about that a lot. I'm not going to get into it too deep tonight. But this ain't our war. It ain't our problem. I mean, it is our problem, but it shouldn't be our problem. I don't want it to be my problem. They can fight it out themselves. Can you believe it? Someone came in all snide to my last stream. 2-way EDU. You need to stick to guns and the Second Amendment. Israel has every right to defend itself. It's like, yeah, that's a real shallow interpretation. So for all the very shallow people, all the very stupid people that may still be watching this stream, let me inform you. I don't give a crap about these people over there, any of them. They can all get bent. They can fight. I've got my own fight in my country to take care of. This is the 250th year to celebrate my country's independence. And I don't care. People just need to get this straight about me. I don't give a crap about those countries. When's it going to get through their thick skull? Yes, Israel can defend itself. Let them defend themselves. And if they lose, they lose. And I don't give a damn if they lose. Because my country is losing its freedom. I'm losing my liberty every day. Lots of people who I really like, who are great Americans, are struggling to get by in my country right now. A lot of people in my country need hope. A lot of people in my country want to make my country a better place. My country's not Israel. My country's not Iran. I'm not Jewish. I'm not Muslim. And they can fight, and they can fight, and they can fight. And Israel can protect itself all at once. And if it wins, then it wins. If it loses, then it loses. Period. I don't know why people are so stupid. All I say is we need to get the heck out. We need to stop funding them. We better not merge our militaries together. And I still, to this day, it never stops. And these are my so-called Republican friends, my conservative friends. And hopefully in the end, we can still be friends. But not so much when you're going to say something so stupid it insults my intelligence to read it. There's still people that come in here and say, but 2-way EDU, you need to stick to talking about guns. You don't understand. Israel has the right to defend itself. It's like, no, I've never talked about that. Israel can go get bent, okay? Iran can go get bent. I don't really give a crap. And you know what? Before, I used to politely be like, hey, they do their thing, whatever. No, now I'm getting a little spicy about it. I'm being told by all these Jews that I can't be a good Christian unless I'm a Jew. Down the street from here, not too far away, there's a city where they chant death to America. And they're going to keep fighting for thousands of years, whether they're on a green prayer rug or a red prayer rug. And it's like, no. These people come here, and I'm like, no, I want to be myself. I want to be an American. There's nothing wrong with being a Christian, white, conservative male in my country. I don't want my country over in your country. I don't want them printing more of this fake money, which does cost us. It's called inflation. There's no free lunch. I get it. They only tax us to keep us poor, but when they print this fake fiat currency from a corporation, someone said earlier, like, watch it, 2-way EDU, or will be for a corporation. No, it's a corporation. The Federal Reserve is a corporation. The Supreme Court just said they can't fire the head of it. The president cannot fire the head of the Federal Reserve. It's a corporation that not even the president can get rid of. So there you go. Or at least under certain terms they can't, right? So no, I do have standing in this. They print more fake money for these bombs, for these BS countries that I don't live in. And it does affect me because I watch a gallon of milk go up. I watch a gallon of diesel go up. And I watch a lot of people that are confused that think they're entitled to all this stuff that aren't even true entitlements because it's all they've ever known because my country's bankrupt right now. Our country's broke right now. And I still have these Zionists coming in here telling me 2AE to you. You need to stick to guns. You don't know what you're talking about. No, I actually do know what I'm talking about. This is my country. Okay? I'm not going to go over to Israel. I'm not going to go over to Iran and run my mouth and tell them how they need it. No. No. My American values, my Declaration of Independence is not wanted in their country. I completely understand it. The feeling's mutual. I don't want to be with you. You don't want to be with me. I don't want to fund you. And I don't know why people can't get that through their thick skull. And so many of my Christian friends that are giving me this crap about it too. It's like, geez, oh, Pete's people. So with all that said, this is something the founding fathers were kind of talking about too. We have our military industrial complex, right? Dwight D. Eisenhower gave us a stark warning in his farewell address, warning us of the military industrial complex. Well, here's what the founding fathers said about the military industrial complex. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. Oh, wait a minute. So, wait, part of the reason why we broke free from England and formed a new country is because unless Congress declared war, the king was keeping standing armies? Yeah. Look, there's kind of a long list, but not really. They narrowed it down pretty bluntly. There's only like a couple dozen things. So one of the most important reasons this country was founded is because the king has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. Do you guys realize, according to what the United States of America was founded on, and it's not just written here, it's written in so many other founding documents, we are not supposed to have a standing army in times of peace. We're only supposed to raise an army if the legislature, they say here, that's Congress, right? The U.S. House, the lower chamber, the Senate, the upper chamber. Unless war has been declared, we're not supposed to have a standing army. Some people in the military get mad at me when I say that, but most of them don't, actually. Most of my military veteran friends, they understand this more than I do, actually. You guys can chime in whether you agree or not, you know. But that's what the founding fathers said. Okay, this isn't my quote, guys. The founding fathers literally said, he has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He is affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. We've seen that a lot. See, if you go back, Brown v. Board of Education, overturning Jim Crow, overturning Plessy v. Ferguson, right? Well, there were certain governors and even mayors in small towns, and the governor, you know, Alabama, said no. We don't care what the Supreme Court said. No coloreds are allowed in our schools. We're not going to integrate. It ain't going to happen. Brings the state troopers in to stand up in front and block it. Well, the military was so superior, that's what they're talking about here, that they came in and literally was ready to make it a war zone. Now, that's just one example. There's many examples of this. Our military will come in and point its guns on its own people. Make no mistake about it. Our military is not supposed to be independent of and superior to the civil power. Remember, we delegate power to different government agencies, including the United States Armed Forces, but they work for us. The military, from people at the Pentagon all the way down to the buck slick sleeve private, works for us. Don't forget that. They serve, and most serve with honor, distinction, dignity. But at the end of the day, the military works for us, we the people, including the people that are in the military, right? When you're in the military and you're an American citizen, you work for yourself and also everybody else in your hometown, your state, and ultimately this country. And they talked about these topics when this country was founded. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation. Dude, that is like super, super, like super duper duper. Reminds me of right now. I'm going to read that again real quick. He has combined with others. Just start filling in the blanks. Think of all these right now. You can think of Palantir. Let's think of like Oracle AI. Let's think of President Xi. Let's think of Netanyahu. You can just start filling all this in. Whoever you want that we're combining with. They're literally trying to pass along in Congress right now, and they're trying to fast track it to combine our military with Israel, as Mike Huckabee and Lindsey Graham call it. Well, here we are, July 4th, 1776. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation. I kind of alluded to that earlier when I said Congress can't override the Constitution. If they do, it's pretend legislation. In the early Supreme Court in 1803, with the landmark Marbury v. Madison case, it said all laws repugnant to the Constitution are void. So again, the Founding Fathers said it. When this country declared its independence, Constitution reiterates it. Very early Supreme Court precedent reiterates it yet again. So, if anyone has problems with this, it ain't me, man. This is what the Founding Fathers thought. They're pretend laws. They basically said that all of these shady, dealing with foreigners, dealing with other jurisdictions that the king was doing, that was pretended legislation. For quartering large bodies of armed troops among us. Well, thankfully, it's not like it is in a lot of military-controlled dictatorships in this country, and I hope it never gets that way. But we have seen times where they've come in and literally brought them in, rank and file. A lot of National Guards have done it, state guards. Then you go to the federal level. We've seen it. For protecting them by a mock trial, that means a fake trial, from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states. So the king was letting his own people murder and having fake trials, mock trials, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world. That's a little different than today. Today, I think we need to cut off a lot of trade. I understand why back then, with this being a fledgling country, just starting off, yeah, they needed to be able to trade because we didn't have the infrastructure or the amount of people here to be a well-oiled machine within. So there's an example of something that's changed. And I'm still not saying we should cut off all trade, but I think we probably have way too much global economy and globalism of trade for sure. So we probably have a little different stance, or at least I do, than the Founding Fathers on that topic, but a little bit of overlap. But here you go. Here's the next one. Talked about this earlier. For imposing taxes on us without our consent. Yep. Ain't that the truth? For depriving us, in many cases, of the benefits of trial by jury. That's an interesting one. There's still a trial by jury in theory, but a fair trial and a trial of our peers? No, we don't have a trial by jury. Not the way the Bill of Rights prescribes it. When you haul somebody off to Washington, D.C. to get indicted by a jury there and tried by a jury there, that's not a jury of your peers. That's not in the jurisdiction or local area in which the crime was alleged, which the Bill of Rights very specifically says. So Yeah, we have mock juries and fake juries and all kinds of stuff here right now in many instances. Not all, but in many. For transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses. We don't have that in the way they did then. I can see some loose analogies to that, but that was a unique issue back then that, as of right now, not necessarily. Take a quick peek in the chat here. Oh, we got another super chat. My rights be gone, Mike, with a generous $10 super chat and a channel member. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate you, man. He says, the best part of being American is working your life away to pay for PS. Yeah. As one we will and can tell them we are done with the poop, the crap emoji. We the people have no meaning until we become we the people. No, man, I agree. And I want to encourage people to start thinking for themselves. Try to bring this country back in good shape again, right? Yes, sir. Only one man will judge us in life, the only true king. The King of Kings and Lord of Lords. That's what the Bible says, doesn't it? The King of Kings. That will get that will get people real mad in other countries when you say that. That's why I said let them fight it out. Israel, sure, it can defend itself. Defend yourself. Good luck with it. I mean that too. Good luck. Most countries have them sanctioned. Their government sanctioned as war criminals, by the way. I think we're like the only country that even matters that is in good graces with them. But again, none of that even matters. Just go defend yourself. Sure, they have the right to defend themselves. Of course. Of course. They don't have the right for my country to defend them. Big difference. The people that live there, yeah, they have the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. I believe those are global, not just in the United States. But they have to figure out how to secure these rights themselves. Because my rights aren't secured here. Is the United States less worse than a lot of countries? Of course. Is the United States better than a lot of countries? Of course. But it still doesn't mean that it hasn't been compromised. And that does also not mean that it's not good enough or that it is good enough. Because I believe it's not good enough. I believe our country could do better, and I want our country to do better. And that's the thing. People are like, well, hold on to Edu. And I've had people tell me all this many times. Yeah, but right now, you know, the United States is a safer place to live in than Israel. Yeah, again, I don't even say this sarcastically. Good luck to them. They can defend themselves, of course. Yeah, I would fight like hell to defend myself too, if that's all they're doing. But how is it defensive? See, here's the thing. So we have to attack Iran because Israel's defending itself by taking over parts of Lebanon? Now, that's just when it's a bridge too far, okay? First of all, even if they weren't shady, let's just say this. Even if they were all on the up and up, they need to take care of themselves. We have too many problems here. I mean all of that. But then it gets to where stuff's so shady because then my friends will come back and say, but to EDU, we have to attack Iran and obliterate it off the face of the map and turn it to sand. It's like they don't realize, like, Iran, yeah, there's Muslims in Iran. I get it. But actually, all of them are not Muslim because everyone wants to make this big Muslim versus Jew. And then it can be the three-way versus Christian. Now, many of them are actually Persians, and many people in Iran are actually very sophisticated people. And they have a graduation rate of scientists and engineers that rivals the United States. So it's not as simple as, oh, just turn that Arab Muslim into sand. Rah, rah, rah. Go military-industrial complex. And that's what I hear from just so many people, not only online, but around town. And then I say, what? They can go get Ben at this point. And then they're like, well, to EDU, Israel has the right to protect itself. And I'm like, so wait, It's protected itself from Iran that I need to turn into glass. My country does, right? By invading and taking over Lebanon? Excuse me? They already got what they wanted from Jordan. See, there's Israel, there's greater Israel. There's from one river to the other to the next. It all just depends which decade you're in, which agreement you're under. You hear some of them talk and they're like, no, now we want greater Israel. That's like all of the Middle East, essentially. I mean, it's a never-ending goalpost. So that's where it's like, dude, even if they were on the up and up, they just have to take care of themselves. These people are so darn shady. And you don't have to be smart. You don't have to have a degree in political science to understand that something doesn't quite sound right. We have to, and I have to support my country turning Iran and everybody there, every beautiful woman, child, man that lives in that country, because there's very nice people that live there. Very nice people live in all these countries. We can't literally say everyone's terrible because they have a terrible government, or we'd have to say all of us are terrible because we have a terrible government in so many ways, right? But no, it's like we have to turn all of them into glass. Our president's literally threatened like he will end their whole entire country, like all of them. He's literally said that before. Sometimes he says it, sometimes he doesn't. But he said it. Go look it up. If you don't believe me, if you don't want to believe me, look it up. Okay, why do we need to do that? Because Israel has the right to protect itself by taking over a third country? But hold on, everyone in Hezbollah and everybody in Lebanon's a terrorist. Hold on a minute. Are they? Maybe sometimes. But when you're invading another country, this is another thing. People just need to research and look up terms because words matter. When Israel's in Lebanon and they're driving tanks, because they buy the tanks from the U.S. with our money. Yeah, it's called the military-industrial complex for a reason. When they're driving the tanks through the town and they're taking them out by unsavory means, there's an argument to be made. Should they be taking them out, these tanks out in these ways? Should they fight war in a certain manner? You can argue about that all you want. I'm not even going to argue with you on that. For the purposes of my argument, I'll grant you all of it. You can say Hezbollah's low down. You can say they're whatever. I grant you all of it. Because the only argument I'm trying to set straight is that's no longer terrorism. When you have an occupied military force in your hometown or the next town over, when it's in your backyard and that invading country has tanks on your land and you're fighting them off, even if it's in the most unsavory way, that no longer meets the definition of terrorist. So it's like, well, hold on a minute. So we have to take out Iran because Israel wants to cruise its tanks through and colonize and occupy. I'm sure it's a total coincidence, but it happens to be mainly the southern part, the part near the ocean where they have all of these natural gas reserves, where a bunch of the resources are. I'm sure it's a total coincidence. They just happen to be wanting to go in there and run people off their land. And then it gets pretty nasty and it gets pretty brutal back. So with all of that said, yes, they can defend themselves. They don't need my permission, but if in theory they did need my permission, I'd say permission granted, defend yourself. And all these other countries that you're attacking all the time in self-defense, they have the right to defend themselves too. And may the best man and the best army win. One of them will eventually win. I mean, or not. They'll just keep fighting for thousands of more years. I don't know. For abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries, so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rules to these colonies. Oh, geez. See, that whole long rant I just went on? Well, I've kind of read this more than once and kind of looked ahead a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's kind of like a pretty good segue I made, because I think there's a little bit of that going on right now And is the dog wagging its own tail, or is the tail wagging the dog? I mean, a lot of this isn't as it appears, of course. So, for establishing the free system of English laws, so you can substitute English law for, you could say, Zionist law. I mean, lots of these. Listen to Ted Cruz, the great state of Texas. Shout out to all my Texan friends that are watching. He said the only reason that he's a senator is to protect the interests of Israel, something along those lines. But he's in the U.S. Senate for Israel. That's his main reason that he became one. I'm paraphrasing, but he said that. So, for abolishing the free system of fill-in-the-blank laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule over these colonies. A lot of this is happening right now. What's up, Pillbox Bunker? Nice to see you, man. What's up, Joe Morris? Okay, so at least one person agrees with me. Dylan Perzak, what happened? I'm lost. Are you kidding me right now? What happened? I'm lost. I don't know. Like, dude, this happened 250. Okay, if you're just joining the stream, welcome. It's good to have you here. Go back and rewind. You're just going to have to go back and rewind. What happened? I'm lost. 250 years ago. I mean, you know. A lot's happened, my man. A lot's happened in the last 250 years. Charles Taylor, it's over. America's gone. What's happening, Charles? Well, a lot of it is, but we're trying to be optimistic tonight. You know? I'll read just the Declaration of Independence in my upcoming video, guys. I told you I was going to pause and talk about it, but we've been going almost 2 hours, so I'm going to continue to read here. Bats. I remember when my wife and I watched the mother give birth to a baby bat. That was one of the coolest things ever. It was in an old barn that I was renting at the time. I hear you, Mike. I hear you. Yeah. What's up, Unsecure Signal? By design, it's absolutely over. We won't revolt. Those that do will be squelched quickly. How many 5.56 rounds can an Optimus robot take? That's the thing, man. With the AI and the robots and I mean, and no morality. It's a RoboCop. I mean, yeah, I get it. Constitution. I knew what you meant, Mike. He has constrained our fellow citizens, taken captive on the high seas, to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. Well, there you go. There's your Optimus robot. And all the people right now, let's face it, all the jackboots that are like, just following orders. I'm just following orders. How many times have we heard that? And now it's not even going to be that soon. It is going to be the robot dog or the Optimus robot. It's going to be all this stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it's AI robots. It's drones. Of course. All of it. What's the difference, though, at the end of the day? You know, you have a hive mind and a drone swarm. We have a hive mind and drones of people right now, too. But the difference is the Optimus robot, or whatever version of the robot it is at that time, it'll be able to absorb a lot of 5.56. Bats eat tons of mosquitoes, yes, and their guano is very, very good fertilizer in many instances, too. But it depends, I think, whether it's insect-eating bats or fruit-eating bats. There's different, obviously, types of bats out there, and I'm not an expert on bats. We just watched one give birth, and it was cool, man. It was cool. He has excited domestic insurrections among us, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. Now, hold on a minute. Have you guys seen what it looks like in many places in Minnesota? Have you been to Dearbornistan lately? I mean, I'm just saying. Have you seen the amount of Indians coming in this country now? I mean, how far off are we here? I'm going to read this one last time, and then we're actually just going to be to the last couple paragraphs of this great document that I'd like to help this country become great again. Just kind of think about all this. Remember, with no borders, no countries, with this birthright citizenship, the recent Supreme Court decision, just think about all these type. Lots of third worlders, you know. They're into beheadings. They're into real. Well, listen to what the founding fathers said 250 years ago. Exactly. Like almost to the minute here. It's in 6 minutes. He has excited domestic insurrections among us, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. It's like, geez, 28 EDU, the guy that just wrote that last week is pretty much, summed up this country right now. Yeah, I know. This was written like 250 years ago. At every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Now they're putting their bill down. I like the spirit of this. I like how cutting these words are in here. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Come get some. I like this. I like this kind of stuff. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our emigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations. So, like, come on, guys. We're a lot alike. Can't you see what we're going through here? Like, can you help a brother out? Which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. But here's the thing, though. We see so much of that here right now. This next part. They, too, have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. We must, therefore, acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace friends. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiances to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved. And that as a free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. And that was literally 250 years ago. I hope you guys thought this was a good conversation. I don't know if I do a good job at these types of talks or not, but I'm just being myself at the end of the day. And it is always a fine line. I don't want to black pill people. I don't believe necessarily that the end is nigh. Is it over, though? That's what I said in the title, because I think it's a question that needs to be asked for sure. But I'm not going to sit back and say everything's okay either, though. Things are not okay. At the same time, everything isn't wrong either. You know what I'm saying? Enemies in war and peace friends. That's what the founding fathers had to say about their own brethren. Their own, right up until this was declared, their own fellow British citizens. Remember, until independence was declared, these colonists, these founding fathers were all British citizens. And it's tough when you're like, come on, man, can't we just agree on something together? It's hurting all of us. And there are some things like there are certain laws that come up sometimes. And there's one in Congress right now about the way voting's done, right? And like 85% of the people actually support it. But at the end of the day, they'll still get us to fight amongst ourselves enough. Like the government's our worst enemy, we're our own worst enemy, right? Well, a lot of us are our own worst enemies, meaning we the people are we the people's worst enemies. But we the people are also the only chance and hope we have. So I hope you all have a good time with your family and friends tomorrow on July 4th, Independence Day. God bless all of you. I hope you're safe. And I don't have a lot of like party favors. I think we have some older smoke bombs and sparklers and a couple little things. So we're not really that big into fireworks at my house. But I told you there's really not much out there that's saying like celebrate 250. So this is going to be like really corny, I guess. But I just wanted something to be festive. So look, I complained about like a lot of things that are terrible right now. And Drain the Swamp, like, you know, gas prices bring people together. Ha ha ha. No, I mean something. Well, thank you, random guy from Oz. We need to talk about this. And as I said so many times, like, if I'm not saying everything the right way or whatever, of course not. But at least maybe we're thinking about these topics. And maybe some of you can say it a better way to your friends, your family, people at your church, work, your hometown. Because I think I'm talking about a lot of stuff on this channel that you really don't hear about a whole lot in the Second Amendment space here on YouTube. So, you know, either you guys enjoy how I present it, or at least, at the very least, what all I really want is for us to be able to think about these things and have these conversations. Matt Morrison, what's happening, man? I'm going to show you guys my little thing that I bought that says 250 on it. 1 second. What's up, Matt Morrison? Nice to see you, dude. I hope you've been doing good. He says, Yuri Bezmenov video is prophetic. Unfortunately. Good night, y'all. Yes, and if you don't know who that is, look up the Yuri Bezmenov video. Yeah. Well, thank you, Jim. Have a great night, man. Red says, you do great. We're a small minority. The renewal should be nigh. We want our children to suffer less than we have. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Here's the crazy part. When I'm like off camera, I'm actually like pretty happy-go-lucky guy. But man, we just have to talk about this stuff. And then when I get talking about it, I can't help but to get passionate about it because this is serious stuff we're dealing with here. Like real serious stuff. Misty, what's happening, Misty Wayne? Nice to see you. And hi bye real quick because it is getting late and we're checking out. Good night, Ron Wayne. Thanks, man. And lots of awfully nice people in this chat tonight. Long live liberty. Happy 4th, everyone. So, anyways, I don't know. Like, I was just like, man, like nothing really says 250 because it's kind of weird. It's like it's the 250th anniversary. Not many people have been talking about it like you'd think. So, I was at Lowe's earlier. I have one of those no spill gas cans, and I lost the cap that goes on the end of it, and I don't want contamination getting in my 2-cycle fuel. Most of you know this. If not, I do lawn service, landscaping. My 2-stroke fuel, that's like the lifeblood of my small equipment, right? So I just did a mulching job, just finished another one yesterday, and sometimes there's loose debris. You got to have a cap on that gas can. I can't have mulch and dirt getting in there. So the cap like blew off of it somehow, lost it. So I bought a replacement unit at Lowe's. It was like $12. I know, boring story. That's why I was at Lowe's. And then like I saw these near the checkout. They were $2 a piece. So here you go. I'm going to celebrate. I have an official Lowe's 5-gallon bucket. Look, everyone has some 5-gallon buckets, right? They might be the Homer bucket from Home Depot if that's what you're into, or the Lowe's. And look, I'm sure Lowe's is probably woke or something. I don't even know, but you have to buy supplies from somewhere. We have a Lowe's near my shop. So, yeah, the classic Lowe's 5-gallon bucket. They were $2. It's kind of like a little tchotchke, but it's actually usable. It has a lid. And I could store small stuff on it. I could put, I don't know, maybe some rounds of ammo in it. I could put a little cleaning kit in it to take to the range, kind of like hide it in plain sight, incognito. Not really, because I'm telling everyone that's going to watch this video my secrets. Actually, all the Fairweather fans already left. The real ones are still watching. You guys won't rat me out. You could use this to keep like your last ditch little. I think I could keep like my Bauer. It's a Bauer clone. Anyone heard of Bauer? Made out of Fraser, Michigan. They made a little baby Browning clone. It's 25 ACP. I have one. I actually did a video with my friend Marksman TV because he had one and I had one when I was in Indiana. Go check it out. The video's on the channel. I could actually fit that little 25 in here with definitely like an extra loaded mag. So you never know, right? Or I could just put nuts and bolts in it and use it at the shop. I just don't want people to know where I'm keeping my little side piece, my 25 ACP. What would I put in there? I have to show that it's empty to show YouTube, right? Because I'm talking about not on camera YouTube, not anywhere near the camera, okay? Jay's LP. Someone working at YouTube was getting nervous. No, I know. I have an empty bucket. I was just saying I could someday when I'm not on YouTube put my little Bauer 25 in there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I just bought one from the same one. Tractor Supply sells normal spillable gas spouts, $12. Yeah, well, this was a specific one. I actually like the one that I have for little 2-strokes. Now, if I'm emptying 5 gallons into the lawnmower, I want it just to pour in there as fast as it can. What's nice about it is it has a little trigger and a little plunger. You know what I'm talking about? So when you're filling up a weed whacker that I think the whole tank is like 12 ounces max, it's nice because you can watch it, and just before it's full, you just let up on that button way quicker than you could lift the gas can up. So no, I'm not into the woke, gas cans either. Most of the time, I just like an old-fashioned gas can, let it rip, get that gas in the tank as fast as possible, drain my life savings as fast as possible with the amount of fuel. But when it comes to small little tanks, blowers, weed whackers, my little orchard sprayer, my bleach sprayer, things like this, I love it with that little push button because you're just nursing the gas in there, and I don't want to pour gas all over the truck or the weed whacker, So, yes, I appreciate what you're saying most of the time, David. I'm with you on these. I like that little button because you can literally stop it so much faster than, it's almost full. You try to tip it back up real quick and just watch it keep pouring. You know what I'm saying? Is it food grade? Drain the Swamp says. I don't know, man. It might be. But no, I mean, celebrate 250. It doesn't even say like Independence Day 250. I don't know. I'm trying to be festive, guys. See? I'm being festive. Someone's going to come in. This guy's such a gloomer. No, I'm not. Dude, I'm celebrating. Lowe's celebrates 250. And I don't know. I just thought it was kind of fun to have a little miniature 5-gallon bucket. And yes, you guys in the chat and on replay, you can totally start making fun of me right now. It's all good. Like literally. But if anyone thinks it's cool, maybe they still have them at your local Lowe's and maybe they'll be on sale. I don't have an affiliate link at Lowe's, but I do have affiliate links down in the description if you'd like to help support, just not for Lowe's. So in other words, I'm not shilling. All right, I'm going to read just a couple more chats here, and I'm going to jump off. I'm actually getting hungry right now. My rights begun, Mike, with another generous $10 super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate you, dude. He says 250 years. Let's not give this freedom away. Stand tall, stand true. Yes, sir. Thank you for the encouragement. And I mean, I appreciate the financial support, obviously. Like, it's not free to run a channel, but mainly at this point, I appreciate that comment. That's why I've said, man, I talk about a lot of stuff where it's like, man, there's this and that. But then again, though, the guys I hang out with, there's still a chance. See, that's the thing, man. Like, actually, quite frankly, even if I walk around by myself, all these people online running their mouth, nobody says it to me in real life. But on the rare occasion, because all I do is work, when I'm out with some of my friends, trust me, none of them say anything. See, like you guys in the chat, which a lot of you, like I said, my friends that I've hung out with in real life, which equals at least 10 people in this chat right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't mess with guys like us for good reason. So maybe we do have more of a chance than some of us think. You know what I mean? Dude named Red. Yes, sir. 2A, you have the name of a prophet. You are not doom and gloom. I do. I do have a name. My name is of one of the, you would say, minor prophets of the Bible. So no, my name's not Jeremiah, or it's not a mate, but yeah. There you guys go. I'll give you a hint. I'm named after a prophet in the Bible, and my name's not Jeremiah. Now, there's a lot of prophets in the Bible. I'm just throwing it out there. See what I do? I'm giving you guys clues. Kent, 645. What's happening, man? Nice to see you. Long-time supporter, long-time no see in the chat. Evening, 2A Edu. You've been a while. Hope life is going great. Dude, I hope you're doing good, too. I was complaining about how screwed the country is tonight for half the stream. But then coming back with the optimism of 250 years. Declaration of Independence. Good reading, good stuff. And I do always enjoy hanging out with all these good people in the chat tonight. So I'm doing good, man. Yeah, be safe out there, Fluffy. I agree. Things are getting crazier. Don't give up your guns, guys. Don't give up your guns no matter what. Contaminated diesel. Yeah, burn a hole in the piston. 2-stroke is fine. Yeah, I just don't want to get contamination and crap plugging up air filter or oil filters or oil filter. Now I'm thinking about my diesel. Plug up fuel filters. There's no oil filter in a 2-stroke. Come on, man. Don't want to plug up air filters, fuel filters. Have to clean up the fuel tank. None of the crap. So I need a thing on the end of my gas can. Dude named Red. I'd argue you embody the namesake you were given. I don't know about that, but thank you for the compliment. I'm reading a couple more chats here, and I am going to go get some food and go to bed eventually. Mike says, when a man has an opinion, another man is ready to shut it down. A real man never lets that opinion change because he believes in what it stands for and means. Well, I think that's a good quote. I don't know if you came up with that or got it from somewhere, but I would agree with that, actually. Ron Wayne says, Moses, too. Moses EDU. There you go. That's a good one. Oh, look at Misty. See how nice she is? She says, I've been here, LOL. I said hi earlier. Just been lost in listening because you're awesome. Oh, well, thank you. Wow. What a nice lady she is. Thank you, Misty. I hope you're doing good. See, I just said it 2 minutes ago. I didn't see your comment till just now, Misty, because I don't see all the comments in real time, but I do watch them on replay, guys. Just so you know, if you left me an awesome comment, I'll get a smile on my face like tomorrow or the next day when I read it, right? But I was saying that totally like off the cuff because I mean it, because it's true. And I was like, dude, there's an awfully lot of nice people in this chat. And that was just based on seeing all you people in here, you know? And then I read this from Misty. I'm like, see, have you guys seen a comment any nicer than that lately? I haven't. Good night, Pillbox Bunker. I hope you have a good 4th of July, Independence Day tomorrow. Celebrate by praising all that's good and bring it back into the world wherever you can. Yes, Rad. Yes, sir. Unsecure signal. 7639 behind you. Sounds great. Oh, dude, I do usually shoot some 7.62 by 39 on the 4th of July. Oh, yeah. I may actually be shooting some 7.62 by 39 tomorrow. I wouldn't rule it out. You know what I'm saying? Paul Bennett says, so you're saying this is not real life. What isn't real life? Huh? Well, look, this is real life right now. However, it's not for 2 reasons. A lot of you guys have met me in real life. I'm the same person. I'm on YouTube, so I have to censor some stuff I really like to say about certain things. So that's not completely real life. And also, like, this earth isn't really real life, in my opinion, actually. In my opinion, the only real thing actually is God. So, you know? No, whenever I say, like, in real life, it's like, guys, I do all kinds of stuff that I couldn't do on this YouTube screen. Like, for example, you cannot touch a gun when you're live. So, yeah. When I say that once in a while, that's what I mean. Because you just can't really be yourself on here. I mean, I am. Trust me. Everything I say, I totally mean it. But I can't, like, pick up an AK and start shooting it. I can't get much deeper into some of the topics I would have liked to about the segregation of the schools in Alabama and the governor in Birmingham. There's things I'd like to talk about more, okay? I'm going to stop trying to explain, or I'm going to end up over explaining it. I'll leave it with this. I am myself. This is real life. Everything I say is genuine. I just can't. I have to leave a lot of it on the table because I am on a very censorious platform. And this channel's been on a fine line for a while on here. So hopefully that makes sense. I know. Pick me. I know what your name is. Well, Ron Wayne already said it. Moses EDU. Moses is a nice name. Minnie Wayne? Wait a minute. Misty's glorious. Well, geez, oh, Pete, it must be true then. See, I wasn't just buttering her up. Minnie Wayne agrees too. See? Somebody said, come on, 2AEDU. You're just trying to butter her up. Obviously not. Minnie Wayne agrees. Say, drain the swamps. 2024 says, I'm nice, so my bank account is over $500. Well, I'm nice too. I said I was nice earlier. Remember? I was like talking about these people. And I said, see, I'm nice. I just call them people. See? That's the thing though. Sometimes when people say I'm being a little bit mean, And I'm like, I'm nice. I just called them people. I said, these people are despicable. Well, that's a mean thing to say to AEDU. No, it's actually really nice. I call these creatures people. See? See, we're nice. Misty says, I know it's hard to keep up with the chat when you're trying to host a show. Yeah, and I have like no script at all. Like when I'm going, it's like spontaneous and oh yeah. Who invited him to that chat? I don't know. I have my suspicions, Misty. I have my suspicions, okay? Here's the thing. We're going to end on this note. Misty, you're going to have to get to the bottom of that yourself. And I believe the answer to your question might be a little bit closer to you than you might think it is. Because I think I know exactly who's behind it. All right, guys. Have a great Independence Day. Good hanging out with all of you. I will see you all on here again soon. Oh, the answer's totally far away from Ron. Totally far away. You'll find who you're looking for very closely, Misty. Not Ron, though. Not in a million years. Nothing to do with him, but I have a feeling you can just kind of, maybe even out of the corner of your eye, or like, just randomly, you might just be walking to the next room and you'll find someone totally other than Ron who might be behind these shenanigans. I don't know. It's probably not even Ron. I don't know who it is. All right. I'm out of here, guys. Thanks for watching and have a good one.